So you're expecting a significant amount of cash to hit your account. Think like a commission, bonus, or even a tax refund. What are you going to do with those dollars? It's so important that we plan ahead, that we're proactive with what we're going to do with it, be it financial goals, be it something fun, be it something joyful, etc. Because if we don't, then we're just going to be left wondering a month later, like, oh, where did all of that money go? And especially if you're in your like, get my money up era, like we all are, you're probably going to think, okay, I got to go all of it towards my financial goals. So if you're like working on debt payoff, like all of it's going to go to my credit card debt, or all of it's going to go to beefing up my savings account, or all of it's going to go to making sure that I max out my Roth IRA before April 15th. All of these things are great things to do with sudden influx of cash. But if you have been in a situation where you've been like really intentional with money, like really prioritizing those financial goals, I also always recommend that you leave some of those funds, some percentage, some allocation amount for fun, for something joyful to celebrate that. Because a key part of like financial transformation is sustainability, like being able to do something over the long term, not just for 3 months or two pay periods. So if we're truly after complete financial transformation, then we need to make it sustainable. And that's going to include joy. In fact, this exact situation came up this week with a client. Like she's expecting a 12K bonus and was like, okay, I'm going to pay off my debt, then I'm going to put some of it in savings, and then I'm going to go ahead and like max out my Roth before the April 15th. And I was like, all right, love this. However, you have only $1,000 left on your credit cards, and then you're going to be debt free, and you're naturally going to be paying that off before you get this bonus anyway. So it's kind of a moot point. Also, like, yes to savings, yes to investing, but you've been in this era of really being financially intentional, kind of more of like a financial sprint where like a lot of your funds are going to paying off your debt, which by the way, she's about to be debt free. So it's very, very exciting. It's like paying off, don't get me wrong. But she has even made some choices to like forego certain experiences to be that aggressive on these goals because that was just more aligned for where she's at. So it was like, wouldn't it be nice to also do some joy, also bring some of that back in, also maybe go on a weekend trip because she loves to travel, or maybe start a sinking fund for a bigger trip to like Europe or something like that, right? And she was like, wait, I'm allowed to do that? And I was like, allowed? What do you mean? Like, I'm not your parent. You're allowed to do whatever you want. It's about what feels good, what feels aligned, what feels really intentional. That's what we're after. So I think you should absolutely be including some of it to joy. And so I share the fact that like at the end of the day, when you have these sudden influxes of cash, it's really nice to have some kind of like a ratio or like a proportion that you goes towards those financial goals, and then a proportion that goes to is more like something to celebrate now. Like at the end of the day, if you're getting something like a bonus or a commission, you're celebrating something, like you did your job really well, to warrant that money. So that deserves celebration in itself. That's a big win. So in her case, we decided, all right, 60% of that bonus is going to go towards her financial goals, be it the savings and the Roth contributions. And then 40% is going to go towards a fun trip that she hasn't done. At the end of the day, when you have these sudden influxes of cash, it's so important to one, have a plan, and two, make sure that you're planning for joy because that's going to promote that sustainability.